back in. Today, we're going to be discussing our must play defenses of the week. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with our top defenses of the week, and we are going with the Green Bay Packers. Packers have been a top five scoring fantasy defense this season. They have the sixth most sacks and have caused a turnover on 16% of offensive drives. That is the fourth highest rate in the league. They now get a Saints offense that could be without all of their weapons. I mean, and Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Taysom Hill, Rashid Shaheed. They could have absolutely nobody. So the Packers are my number one defense this week, and they're only rostered in 45% of leagues. So they actually would qualify as a streaming option as well. Let's keep it moving. Let's move over to the Buffalo Bills. They are currently the number 8 overall fantasy scoring defense this season, averaging 7.4 fantasy points per game. While they only have the 16th most sacks, they have been one of the top defenses at turnovers. They have created a turnover on the third most drives this season, and now face Drake May, who have yielded 4 more sacks in 4 of his last 5 games. It has turned the ball over in 5 straight games. The Bills are one of the top fantasy defenses this week. And then lastly, of course, it's the Minnesota Vikings because it's the Vikings, and they're averaging 10.6 fantasy points per game against a Seahawks offense that has allowed the third most sacks. But better yet, the Seahawks might even be without Geno Smith. The Vikings could score 15 plus fantasy points this week against this offense. We saw how bad Sam Howell looked. Their offensive line is terrible. It could be a really rough matchup here for the Seahawks if Geno Smith is not able to go. Now let's move over to some of our streaming options of the week. First up is going to be the Colts. The Colts are only rostered in 15% of leagues, but are set up nicely the next 2 weeks with matchups against the Titans and the Giants in the final 2 weeks of the season. First up, though, is a matchup against the Titans, who have allowed the 8th highest pressure rate and the 5th most sacks on the season. The Titans have allowed the most fantasy points per game to opposing defenses and are our most widely available defense to stream this week. Next up is the Atlanta Falcons. While the Falcons have not been a defense target this year, as they've only scored 3.8 fantasy points per game, they do get a very favorable matchup again this week. It's the Giants at Week 16. The Giants have allowed the 6th highest pressure rate and the 4th most sacks this season. And the Giants are looking like to be on their 4th quarterback in Tim Boyle. And I will say the Atlanta Falcons defense actually played really well for the most part against the Raiders. They were one of the top scoring defenses last week. So I think it sets up really nicely again for them this week. And then lastly is the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals defense have been anything but really good this year. However, though, I want to mention, since their Week 13 bye, their defense has actually started to turn things around. They have scored 8 or more fantasy points in 3 straight games and have been a top 10 scoring defense in all of those as well. Now they get another strong matchup against the Browns, who just allowed 5 plus sacks and turned the ball over 6 times against the Chiefs. The Browns trail only the Titans in fantasy points allowed to opposing defenses, making them a very solid streaming option for the week. So that'll do it for this week. Let us know in the comment section below if you have any questions, concerns, who you should pick up, who you should drop. We'll let you know. Good luck in the next week of the fantasy playoffs. Let's get them dubs. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.